Hey, welcome to Plants Are My Therapy, and today I'm going to show you my very first YouTube video that I made over 10 years ago. 10 years ago was a very different time for me. About 3 years ago I became a widow. About 9 years ago I got full custody of my grandchildren. So 10 years ago everything was going great. I was paying down my bills, the future was at my feet. I felt like the world was still full of possibilities. It's amazing how life changes. I hope you enjoy this video. When I was a child, I was a good boy. I went to church, went to school, got good grades, honor roll in high school, highest honors in college, got a job, got a car, committed to a relationship, got a car, got a house, got a car, got kids, got a minivan. Then life hit a wall and it tested everything I knew about problem solving, empathy, and grief. These video journals demonstrate how I scaled down my spending, learned to cook efficiently, be a good parent, be a good spouse, and still deal with retiring in the Philippines. When I first visited the Philippines in 2010, I was overwhelmed by the poverty. People were actually living hand to mouth. They woke in the morning, no food in the house, no money in the pockets, and they had to go out to find food or find work so they could feed their family that day. The thought of living that way horrifies me, so I really wanted to help. If I were in that situation, I'd want somebody to help me. So I gave it a lot of thought, and I came up with a lot of ideas. One of them is the goat dispersal program. At the risk of sounding boastful, I thought it was ingenious. The goat dispersal program is a program where I would buy a supply of native/indigenous female goats, which were accustomed to Philippines climate and environment, and breed these native female goats with a male hybrid goat, which is bigger and meatier. Also figuring that the genetic diversity would make the offspring more resilient to recessive genetic disorders and diseases. I would distribute these impregnated female goats with their hybrid offspring to a number of unemployed or underemployed families. After much research, goats are the perfect animal. Unlike chickens, they can't easily run away, be stolen, or get eaten by a natural predator like snakes, rats, wild dogs, or feral cats. Unlike pigs, which are escape artists and require expensive feed, goats need a very basic shelter. Unlike cows, they won't trample small children, and unlike tilapia, they don't need water or a pond. Goats only need a small area to shield themselves from the weather, a watering bowl, and grass to eat that can be found growing along the roads or vacant lands. If the owners of these goats cannot take the goats to graze on someone else's land, they could harvest overgrown grass growing almost everywhere in the province and then bring them to the goats. Goats can have 2 offsprings yearly, but it's common for them to have anywhere from 1 to 4 offsprings at a time, and sometimes they'll give birth twice yearly. So the way the goat dispersal program would work is that I would distribute a number of impregnated female goats to a number of unemployed and underemployed families. The rules are, these goats are never to be eaten or sold. The firstborn female offspring is to be given back to the goat dispersal program, which would then be given to another unemployed or underemployed family. All other offsprings and offsprings of offsprings would be the property of the family. The family would be encouraged to grow their herd and use these goats as a resource, money in the bank. So if there's an emergency, they could sell one or a few of these goats to get the money that they need. Or if a celebration occurs, they could use one of these goats instead of having to buy a goat. The goal of this program is to give resources that can grow for these families who have nothing, thus making them self-sufficient. And with each family giving their firstborn female back to the goat dispersal program, the program could grow and help more people. I was proud of this plan. In theory, this would be a great program to curb the poverty in the Philippines. And by design, it had the potential to grow and help even more people exponentially. But theory meets reality. On one of the family compounds, I gave 17 female goats and 1 male goat. Then one of the boys on the compound asked me if they could have one of the goat for Christmas. I relented and gave them my permission, and they killed the male goat. I thought they were stupid. Of course, I didn't say anything, but I thought they were stupid. I thought to myself, thank God I came along, because these people are so stupid that they kill the only male goat, which would prevent them from increasing their herd. I'm embarrassed to say that it took a while for me to get over myself. I figured that these people, Filipinos, can't be that stupid because their ancestors had survived for hundreds of years before I was born. So there's no way that they had to wait till I came along to help them. If they were that stupid, they would have died off centuries ago. So I started looking at the situation from a more insidious perspective. They started off with 18 goats, 1 male goat and 17 female goats. If they had killed one of the female goats, they would have had 1 less goat. But since they killed the male goat, it forced me to buy another male goat, thus keeping their herd at 18 goats. On the top of that, the new goat cost me twice as much. Or at least that's what they said, and that's how much extra money I sent them. Over the years in this specific compound, various things happened. From goats being stolen, goats found dead, goats running away, etc., etc. Bottom line, their herd never exceeded the original number of 18 goats. Okay, that was one family compound. On another family compound, only male goats were born. To make a long story short, I told them to donate from the next litter of goats. They questioned me, saying that they thought that the rest of the offsprings would be theirs, and only the firstborn female goat had to be donated. I showed them the contract, and I told them, yes, the first female goat should be donated back to the goat dispersal program, but it doesn't say it has to be from the first litter. Well, until now, only male goats have been born in that compound. On the third compound, no viable births occurred. So I sent a male goat to re-impregnate their herd. But they claimed that the male goat, this specific hybrid male goat which fathered all the other goats, was gay. So I told them to return the male goat back to the goat dispersal program and to buy another male goat, making sure that the new male goat had pronounced secondary male characteristics like bigger body, bigger horns, and bigger primary male characteristics. And they did. They bought a big black goat with big black horns, and they told me that he was gay too. I believe that the goat dispersal program would work, but it requires closer supervision. I won't attempt it again until I retire and am able to overlook the program myself.